All right. Welcome back to the AI Executive Morning Buzz. I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and I'm with Jason Hess and Nick James. We're going to jump right in it. There is a ton going on. Again, this week is nuts. We're going to kick it off as we heard an update from Forbes yesterday evening as they are breaking through and have released an article and study around the 5 major technological shifts that are reshaping everything that we're doing when it comes to the AI landscape. So I'm going to kick it over to Jason. Let's just start there because there's a ton to talk about.
Yeah, so they have identified the 5 major things. I think there's probably a sixth one that we'll talk about. The first one is AI agents. Everyone's talking about it. We're talking about it. We're building systems with agents that are both passive and ones that can work on their own. That they see a file, they're able to go ahead and taking actions. So AI agents is the first one. The next one that they identified was the increase in inference and being able to work through that. Number three was giant large language models. What they're saying is these models are now getting so big, even though the companies are not releasing the amount of parameters, they're anticipating that they're in the trillions of parameters for these large language models. And on the opposite side of the spectrum is the increase of small language models,
Hmm.
ones that you can operate right on your phone, that you don't need all of those large parameters. You just need it very specialized. And I think that's really what's going to help businesses go forward because they don't need a multi-trillion parameter count. They just need the ability to put their data in, have it know a little bit of information, and be able to build off of that.
It's awesome.
And then the last one is unlimited memory. Right now you've got context windows where you
Your
are
favorite
bound
one.
by what it can remember. In the future, at the end of the year, I don't think that there'll be constraints anymore for context window. You'll have unlimited memory. It'll remember. I know OpenAI released that they're adding unlimited memory to all of their chats, so it'll remember everything about you, and we'll see how that works.
Yeah, I love that. It's really good 5 shifts, right? We're spending time in a ton of those. I have a couple questions though. By the way, memory is probably one of my favorites in there, but the giant LLMs, Nick, from just strategic point of view, I can't. I can only imagine how much power it takes to boot all that up, right? The amount of compute power, chips, infrastructure. Thoughts on that? I mean, as it gets larger and larger, because we're giving it more data, and I know there's synthetic data now going on. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, Obviously, that's why the Stargate that announcement was made. We know there's ground already breaking in Abilene, Texas. Here,
Right.
um, I think that there's going to be the need for inference at that level, at the large language model level, where it's very centralized, and then you're going to have this decentralized approach of these small language models that are doing smaller tasks, right? So you're going to have this sort of multi-model, not modal, but model network, right? Sort of a mesh network where tasks are intelligently routed, like we talked about orchestration
Yeah, you're
yesterday.
talking about, yeah.
Tasks are intelligently routed to the appropriate model with the appropriate parameter size, with the appropriate modality, memory settings, etc. I do want to touch on memory. I want to separate memory from context window. Those are right now they're two different things. In the future, they may not be two different things. So the ability to stretch memories across conversations is currently what OpenAI is doing. That's the newest release. So, a note for everybody: if you do want to opt out of that, you can go into your settings and you can turn off the feature where OpenAI keeps a memory across chats. In the past, it's really been context based inside of that chat window. That's really what when we're talking about context, like how much of the chat can it remember?
Hmm.
That's what memory used to be, but now there's an external memory space where key memories are registered in this external memory space and are remembered across chats. Okay,
Okay,
so
so can you
that's
can
what.
you Can you deep dive that? Because I didn't understand that whole OpenAI memory piece because I was like, wait a second, I've already been using this. I like it now. I hated that there was a cap. So you had to go in, if you're, it says memory full. So you'd go in and you'd delete, like, I didn't want it to remember that. I didn't want it to remember that. Now it's saying it's between chats, but is there still I'm curious if there's still a cap. And I was also wondering just from the back end, like what does it take to power that up to always remember it, and how is it storing it, where is it storing it? I had so many questions, although I love the feature. I mean, maybe it doesn't even matter, but
Jason?
Yeah, yeah. So I think what it takes to store that is what your first question to Nick was. The carbon footprint that it's going to take to be able to manage these data centers. I saw an article from Stanford of the top 25 charts, and that was one of the biggest ones and the most glaring is the rise of carbon footprint with these AI data centers. Nick and I went to a conference a couple weeks ago where it was a bunch of AI data center people in Dallas that are building out new AI data centers, and it's completely changing. Everything's now water cooled because AI is being used so often. It's actually melting servers if they're not water
melting
cooled, if they're
chips.
just air
Yep.
cooled.
Yep.
Um, so there's just so much there. And I think on the memory side, it's going to just, they're going to continue to build data centers. They're going to continue to have storage, and you'll continue to understand and know everything about you. I think that brings up an ethical concern in the
Hmm.
future. Now that you know all this about me, what are you going to do with that data? How are you going to sell that data? What are you going to do to monetize off of that? Because we've already seen this gameplay play out with Google. All right, you can have a free Gmail. All right, now I know every email that you've ever received, and I've read everything. So, like, what is OpenAI going to do with that data? And I think that brings up an ethical concern that really should be brought to the forefront of what are you doing with our data?
But that's an amazing point. This is
Yeah.
so much more intimate. Okay. We don't have intimate conversations like we do with ChatGPT inside of our email. Okay. I don't know what kind of emails you write, Albert, but
I don't. I mean, they're intimate.
I feel like I feel like my conversations with ChatGPT are a whole lot more relieving or revealing about who I am as a person, who my family members are. So now that all those things are being saved, and like for all we know, there could be a global profile being established on each and every one of us, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Because I mean, we've been cookie scraping for decades now, right? We've been email scraping, and I mean,
Google searching.
we were just on with someone yesterday on a podcast that's yet to be released. Talking about scraping cookies and collecting data just because I visit a website. Now you know my email address, where I work, my first and last name,
Who
right?
you work
Surprised you
with.
don't know my social security number too. So we've been harvesting data for so long now. This is the next level of getting to know me much more deeply. So it does scare me.
All right, so we're gonna do something live. So we're gonna all share our chat history in Chat GPT. It's so funny. Would you be comfortable doing it? I wouldn't. I'm like, oh man, there's some
I
like,
use it for business purposes mainly. Yeah, I did do something very personal. I actually gave it an understanding of who my kids are, my wife is,
oh, that's cool.
our sort of our astrological signs, what our accomplishments are so far, and
That's
it
awesome.
actually built us like a family crest and a family pitch deck.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, so I think that's about as probably
Mine's
intimate as
dark.
it's gonna get.
I'm a hypochondriac, man. I'm like, I'm feeling a lot. Why am I dying? When am I? I'm just like, what is this? I take a picture of my neck. They're like, that's your neck.
And Jason, you got Kaysen engaging with it for bedtime stories, right?
Just for stories, yeah. A lot of that other stuff I've kind of, because I don't trust and I'm not
Mm,
sure what ethically they're doing, I don't put a lot about our personal life in there.
yeah.
I'm not asking it, how to, I'm asking how to eat healthier, but not, what's going on with me. So I
Mm.
try to balance what do I want to share with them, and how, I don't put any of the pictures. I didn't go through that viral phase a couple weeks ago with the, what was it,
Ghibli,
the
Ghibli.
Ghibli photos and things like that.
Was that the
Um,
toy? That was a toy. There's like a trend
No,
going on.
it's an artistic form created. I believe it's a Japanese artistic form of drawing cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And
I
right
see.
now it's action figures for this
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
But, every day
Yeah,
on LinkedIn, it's like,
That's
hey,
cool.
look at my action figure. I'm like, yeah, that's just like what everyone else like.
that's
You know
Okay.
cute.
what I thought about that action figure? Nick, you have the 3D machine. So why couldn't I make it on Sora? Looks hyper realistic. Feed it to your 3D and make my action figure. I'm serious
Well,
about
no,
this. I
no,
want
no.
it all
My
sorts
son,
nationwide.
my son has an AI powered, cat like a CAD program. It's online. It's hosted. It's not like you download an app on the iPad, and then he just describes in text what he wants, and it builds. It's called the .stl file. That's the file format that goes into the 3D printer. So
Wow,
it's already there. I could probably take
dude, that's
your
Minecraft right there. That's Minecraft.
sure.
Well, there we go. There's the AI executive marketplace having Albert's action figure.
My action
Our merch
figure,
store. Our merch store.
our
We
merch
need
store.
we need
I
a merch
mean,
store, guys. That's on my list. Don't worry.
it's
We
going to
need
be a classic. All right, so really good stuff there on the Forbes article. OpenAI. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. We were talking about the Pioneer program, and then again, they just released new features. Jason, you want to walk us through some of the highlights on OpenAI?
Yeah, so OpenAI released two new reasoning models. The first one is the O3 Full. So it's the full version of replacing the O3 Mini. And then they released a O4 Mini. And so, all of the benchmarks, it's exceeding, drastically, like 20 percentage points for each compared to their old reasoning models, which is quite impressive. They're getting, top scores in all of the math questions, things like that. They've also added the integration of tools now, so you can have reasoning with tools to be able to do that. And it's coming so fast, so quickly. It's hard to digest all of that. But I've got an idea of what I think they're doing. So a couple months back, OpenAI said they're going to be releasing GPT-5, and they're going to
Mm,
get rid of all of this model confusion in what you're selecting, and it'll just be one model. And I think what they're doing is they're training up GPT-5, and once they do a checkpoint and they identify, okay, we've met this next checkpoint. Let's release that as an O series.
right.
And that's kind of where they are in being able to release that. So I think that's where it's layering on top of each other. And I don't know what the final version is going to be, but that's where it's going to get to a GPT-5, where
It's
you'll be
kind
able to
of
have the GPT plus the reasoning and then also the agentic platform connected
yeah.
to it.
Nick, it's kind of like what we were saying, 0 to 1, right? It's you're getting your MVP out there. The game has changed, and I feel like that's what OpenAI is doing. Jason, to your point, it's they send out feature and feature. They're testing, they're iterating, and then it comes out with the new true model, right? So they're getting their MVP out in pieces, I guess you could say, and then they release the big one, right? So which in this case would be five. Nick, thoughts on that strategic approach?
Look, it's going to completely change model orchestration, right? And I want to clarify. Jason said O4, not 40. So it's very confusing. It's kind of like,
It's
Their,
you
their
know what it
naming
reminds me of?
is so terrible.
BMW, okay? They have the
the
weirdest,
series.
like the series and the 740 and the
Yeah,
I was like, why don't you just have like a regular name?
they went
Anyway,
too
it
quick.
reminds me of that. So don't get confused with 40 is what we've all been using for a while now. O4 Mini is a part of their series of reasoning models. Okay. So, anyways, getting back to five. Five should be
You sure?
the yeah. Five is going to be the service all, right? And I believe that they may be releasing pieces of five chunk by chunk.
Right.
That five is really just a UI wrapper
Hmm.
around a number of different models. In fact, it's rumored to the rumor is that there's seven different models that service 4.0 right now. So they're already testing orchestration. So what they're going to do is they're going to abstract away model selections so it makes it a lot easier for the user, and orchestration is going to be embedded right there right after the user interface. As soon as a prompt comes in, there's going to be an intelligent model that decides, okay, it needs to go to 04, 03, 01, 40, whichever, right?
Yeah.
But all of that is kind of encapsulated inside of
Yeah,
five.
and that's exactly what we spoke about yesterday with
Yeah.
Abacus and why
Yeah.
Right.
Nick and I really enjoy it is because that routing is critical to make sure that you're going to the right thing. Because there's some models that aren't good at coding questions, and there's some models that are not good at math and reasoning. So that I think that orchestration layer is critical. It's going to really differentiate them from other competitors.
Oh, and by the way, have you guys tried out the new Workspaces integration from Anthropic? I have
No,
not. I had
check that out.
Jen. I was hanging out with Jen Dunham. She's the chief growth officer for Aloha. She spoke on a women's in tech panel for Plug and Play yesterday, and
Oh, I
she
saw
told
that.
me, yeah, she told me that she turned on basically the Google Workspace integration. Took about 30 seconds, but basically it's like a kind of like an assistant inside of Claude. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with that. I would love to see it in the comments. I haven't
Yeah.
yet.
I've seen that. I have not focused on that. As I said yesterday, I'm kind
I
of getting
unsubscribed
away
from
from
it.
Claude
Yeah,
because I've lost trust in them. But I saw the same type of integration with Gemini in uh, Workspaces. Also, you can now ask questions. You can ask it to respond to your email responses. How should I respond to this email? And you're able to
really.
do that. Yeah, I was working on that yesterday. And so that's also there. And that's where I think Microsoft is really missing the boat because
Yeah.
email
Mm.
management and email response is critical. And enterprises are mostly on Microsoft Exchange servers and Outlook. And building that in is going to be something that's critical. I've seen a few people, build out some assistance to do that, but having an email review it, be able to provide a recommended draft response to that you then go and edit, that's going to save executives so much time. And I don't understand why people are not focusing on that problem.
I'm looking at their website now because I was curious about this workspace thing. So this is more for developers. By the way, can someone send them like a marketing executive or maybe use Sora because their their logos and is terrible. I'm going through their website is absolutely sorry.
It was built. I mean, it's for
It's
developers
hard
by
on the
developers.
eyes. It's hard on the eyes.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! It's like hey, let's go get one of our kids, and they're just gonna slam something on there. It was really bad. So
Speaking of,
workspaces
um,
for developers.
is that what it is? She's not a developer. She said she
Interesting.
turned on a Google Workspace integration.
No,
That
I'm just saying that Anthropic's really their marketing is written for developers. It's not.
Oh, right,
Oh, I
right,
see
right,
what you're saying.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I'll look it up later.
Thoughts on this. So I'm curious because I'm a big, before I met you guys, right, and all this agentic workflow agents. I was a big GPT guy, and we actually have to Nick's point, we have an episode coming out next Monday with Travis Zebro from Momenta Tech, Momenta Fire, and we helped them out in just creating an infrastructure of GPTs, and that was at the time, right? What is it going to be? Is GPT the GPT store, GPTs? Is it even relevant anymore? Knowing what agents can do?
I think it's relevant for the rest of 2025. I
Hmm.
don't think that because agents are now being created, but agents are not being mainstream. And I think that there will be a marketplace where those GPTs will just turn into agents where it will
Right.
then do
Yeah,
that.
That's what I was thinking.
because GPTs have tool use.
And GPTs
GPTs
are
were
all
like
passive.
early forms of agents.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So I think, yeah, I think Jason's right, because what the real play is here is that I have an agent or I have a team of agents. Jason has a team of agents. Albert has a team of agents, and we list them on a marketplace, like kind of like an Upwork for agents, right?
Right.
So
Exactly. Oh, that's so
so
good.
I think that the the GPT marketplace, I think if I had a crystal ball here, I think they're going to pivot into it being
Yeah.
an agent
That
marketplace.
Well,
was one of the cooler things that I saw on the '04 and the '03 min or the '03 '04 mini and '03 whatever. I'm mixing that
You're
up.
right. You're right. You got it. You got it right.
But they actually are tracking how much those models are making off of Upwork and Fiverr. So they're just putting those models out there, and it was like one of them was like $35,000, and the other one was like $48,000 that it's been making from coding problems.
How
Wow.
can they track that?
because they're actually pointing them out. OpenAI is pointing them out to do those jobs.
Oh, OpenAI is bidding on Fiverr gigs.
Yeah,
And
that was what the
somebody needs some spending money. Jeez,
Yeah,
that's like chump
exactly.
yeah,
change for
they
them.
got to offset those data center costs.
The melting GPUs.
Okay, so
Wow.
hold on. You guys just made me think of something that I saw. So when we're talking about all the OpenAI features, by the way, they're on fire right now. When they have been, and they're great. They're innovators. It's exciting. They obviously have a leg up as well. But they just invested. What was it? 3 bill on. They used to be called Codium. They're now Windsurf. Kind of cool
Yep.
name.
Yep.
So it's a coding startup that they. So and this is where I'm like, why though? Why would they invest in a coding startup? What do you all think it's for? And that's a big chunk of
So I don't
change.
think I think they put a proposal out there. I don't think it's been the merger's
Oh,
been.
it was they were talking about acquiring them, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Windsurf is a competitor to Cursor, which is a vibe coding platform for developers. It's more IDE, the integrated development environment focus. So
Mhm.
it's more for that developer engineer. And Windsurf has always been number two, right behind Cursor. So I think it's really, I think the way that it looks like is OpenAI is focusing on the developer experience and that engineer experience.
Mhm.
And that's where I think building out that platform also as another way. They also released at the end of the update yesterday, they talked about a Codex AI, which
Mm.
is a competitor to Claude Code, which is a command line tool that you can then integrate with. So it looks like they're doubling down into the developer engineer workspace and how to
Mhm.
build those services faster.
All of these AI coding assistants, vibe coding, whatever you want to call them, all of them are model agnostic. And
Mm.
majority of them they used to
Claude
default
three
to
seven.
Claude,
Yeah.
but now they're starting to default to Gemini
Mm.
because it's just cheaper. There's no throttling. Um, but I think the play here, the angle here, is not because I mean, OpenAI could have easily built Windsurf easily.
Yeah.
I think they're buying the user base.
Mhm.
Right. And that was what when I was talking about the Forbes article, the number six item. I think vibe coding is number six in 2025, and truthfully, I think it's probably closer to one and two of what's really going to be
Why does
impactful.
it have such a bad like stigma already? Can I get an
What's that?
answer to
Vibe
that?
coding?
Yeah, I feel like people
It's a
feel like
vibrant
it's
thing, man.
like a derogatory like slang word or something. Why is
Vibing.
that?
It's because the kiddos, maybe. It's a vibrant thing, man. We got to go back in time, it's a
Well,
vibrant.
back in the day when you're talking about hackers and you talk about script kiddies, there's like they're like, oh, you don't really
Yeah,
know a
you
lot.
don't
You're
have a
not
lot of knowledge. You're just
educated.
a kitty.
You kind of yeah. So that's what it feels like to me. It's got that like dirty feeling to it. Is
I
that
think it sounds great.
I think it's from the traditional engineers that have spent decades learning this,
okay.
and
Mm.
now their product manager has the same level of skills, if not better, than they
Right.
do. And it's more of like, what the
That's
heck? I
exactly it.
spent 20 years learning how to be one of the top engineers in the world, and now you've got your sales guy that's building apps for now. So I think that's kind of where stigma's coming from.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This is good. I like what we're talking about today because we've been talking about more general, mainstream, executive, how to integrate, implement the people side. So I'm hoping those that are watching, those developers and on the techie IT side. By the way, Tag ITM.
Oh
We got
yeah,
to talk about Tag ITM before we jump off. Nick, you want to walk us through that?
yeah. So it's the Texas Association for Government IT Managers. Boy, it's a mouthful. That's why they have an acronym. TAG ITM happens every year. I believe it's not just for Texas folks, but it started here in Texas. All of the technical folks, the IT teams, the CIOs attend this every year. Every year, I mean, since we've been going, it's been at the La Cantera in San Antonio, Texas. So All three of us will be down there next week. Albert probably for a brief period during the beginning of the week. But it's
Make
really
an appearance.
exciting.
Make an appearance.
It's a really exciting space to be in, just given how much of time and money and effort White Glove AI is put into growing in the sort of that SLED, which stands for state, local, and education space. It's good to congregate with prior customers who attend that conference. And just really break bread and create new relationships, keep existing relationships ongoing in a face-to-face environment. It's very fun. It's not like your traditional conference. It's not stuffy. They even have game nights and like
See that.
it's very different. So I'm really excited. It's happening next.
Hospitality trivia event. I am
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
That is gonna be that's like my
yeah,
jam.
yeah,
Their tagline, their slogan, "Don't stop believing it," or IT. That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
good.
yeah, believe in it. And
Pretty cool. And there's a golf tournament.
There's a golf tournament, so we're very excited. If you're watching this and you're going to be down there, just hit us up on LinkedIn. Each one of us are pretty active on there. We'd love to say hi.
Yeah.
Albert would love to
We can also talk
sign your
about
shirt.
future of
Which
helping them out. So those IT managers are the ones that are probably going to be getting the most value out of our VCIO platform.
That's
Those
right.
that assistant that will help you manage this. You know, what we see is CIOs are now tasked with another task of, all right, you now need to have chief AI officers. And they still have a backlog. They still have lots of features that they're focusing on, and it's hard
Technical
for them
debt.
to do anything with
Yeah.
AI. They don't know where to start, and this is where I think VCIO is going to be a great platform to help them
yeah.
without the initial investment. It's going to be very useful. So happy to talk to you guys about what our vision is and how we think it's going to be able to help those municipality IT managers.
I can't wait, man, because I'll tell you from the finance angle, I need to get into the brain of a CIO. It's like, man, I get the cybersecurity stuff. I'm the one like, let invest, and it's like, no, not yet. So I can't wait. I can't wait to make great relationships, have some fun, and then see things from a different perspective. I think it's gonna be a growing opportunity slash.
Can we close out? I just want to share.
Yeah,
I'm going to share the website for VCIO, not the platform. That's still under construction, but just wanted to. I guess I can't share. Can you guys see
no,
my?
you
Oh,
totally
yeah, there.
can.
Yeah, I just need to add it to the
There
scene
we
and
go.
highlight it and transition it and
Beautiful.
all that stuff. So
Boom. Beautiful. Ooh,
here's the
love that
VCIO.
blue.
That platform. Make sure to join our wait list. This will take you out to a type forum, fill in a little bit of information. Obviously there are. Actually let Jason. Jason's brainchild of this. So Jason, go ahead.
Yeah, so what we know is 85% of all AI initiatives have not made it to production and have not met the goals. And
Hmm.
we feel that that's because people are just trying to solve a problem. They don't have all the strategy built in, they don't have everything that's necessary, as well as there's a data problem. There are lots of data distributed across your organization, and being able to have AI take advantage of it is critical. And that's where we feel that the VCIO platform is going to help them. Built off the foundation we have created with the AI AMF, and we have built out agents that are going to be supporting each of those phases and help you in your evaluation phase, interviews with your stakeholders, understanding exactly what is necessary to do that. So we've got a couple screenshots and things like that that you can see where we're going and what we're
Yeah.
planning on doing. But this is going to be a platform that is going to help CIOs be able to make decisions, make information faster, and it's not going to cost you significant IT investments to be able to do these interviews, to understand, build your AI strategy, because CEOs, city managers, city council are all trying to push to go faster and take advantage of this AI wave. But a CIO still has to keep the lights on. They're not getting extra resources. This is a way to be able to help them get more information, make a difference. and be able to start having an AI strategy as well as managing all of your use cases and things like that. So I think we have an opportunity to really help out those CIOs, because when they got different roles like chief information security officer, chief data officer, innovation officer, they had to fill that role until they could hire someone. This is going to be a way to still fill that role of, setting your AI strategy, but not having to hire someone to be able to do that and to be able to complement everything that they're already doing.
This is the
So good.
future of consulting. Yeah.
It
Back
it
to you,
truly
Albert.
is. Join the wait list. We put it in the chat there, the website, and it's cool. We already see people joining in, the audience watching, and then checking it out, and we see it in our Slack as they're joining the wait list. Is pretty cool. Some familiar names too that I saw recently, which was nice. All right, we're right on the money, gents. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us for another AI Executive Morning Buzz. I can't believe it's Thursday. We have to wait all the way to Tuesday, but we'll do it at Tag ITM. We got to wake up early
We got to
in
wake up
San
early.
Antonio. We'll get the show rolling again, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of updates, not only from afar, but also at Tag ITM. I can't wait. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we throw in a special guest if someone wants to meet up with us and have a chat and be on the show. Maybe we throw you on live. If you're up for it, it's a lot of fun. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.